I'm Captain Joseph Collar, and thank you for joining me for this Operations Group TAC Talk on how the National Training Center conducts our RSOI RETRANS Academy for every rotational unit. The scope of this episode will cover 3 essential topics that we consider to be the foundation of conducting retrans operations for a Brigade Combat Team. These common trends will create a shared understanding across a team and build a stronger command and control architecture at echelon. Number 1, personnel and equipment readiness. Number 2, planning and synchronization. Number 3, execution. In detail, personal readiness is a key factor. Often MOS mismatches will be present throughout the teams, and the teams do not have the necessary reps and sets needed to establish their site in the respected time windows. The signal assessment tables are the framework for training and certifying tactical signal crews. We have to treat our retrans crews as any other combat arms crew who completes gunnery tables. If that crew falls below 74% manning or the team chief leaves the team, then that team is decertified. Table 1 through 5 are executed and validated by the company. Table 6 is conducted semi-annually and certified by a battalion or higher commander. Table 7 is conducted annually and validated by external evaluators such as Division G6 or Sister Brigade S6 leaders. Training needs to be deliberate and tied into the unit's training plan. Teams must continuously work their crew drills to meet their time hacks. Under equipment readiness, as mentioned in TC 6-02.1, routine maintenance breeds success, and most of the issues stem from the lack of maintenance. Not only do the teams need to conduct the routine preventative maintenance checks and services, but they need to establish a relationship with the C&E maintenance section to drive a shared understanding of current issues and facilitate communication readiness. Retrans teams struggle to execute their 5988 flow in its entirety, which leads to equipment shortages. One of the most common shortfalls almost every rotation seems to be the RF adapters. The teams never have enough of them. When we start to discuss best practices for pre-combat checks and pre-combat inspections, a question often asked is, when is the last time we primed our equipment? The radio test set Prim 36 is a powerful tool for our pre-combat checks and inspections, troubleshooting, and overall validation that our equipment is functioning properly. We stress that every team should have their Prim 36 included in their loadout checklist. Additionally, the teams need to deploy with their full arsenal of antennas to combat the winds and have a spare antenna in the event load plans are poorly executed and or equipment is damaged. It is important to note that teams deploying with the roller tubes can sustain 62 miles per hour, OE254s can sustain 90 miles per hour, and the Queems can sustain 60 miles per hour. Bottom line, if the high winds blow in, teams just need to either lower their antennas or reinforce their tie downs. Another observation that can easily be corrected in deploying with hub batteries and 5990s. Ultimately, without them, retrans operations are delayed. Once they get into their new site, they are now reloading radios again and again. Planning and synchronization. When we start to discuss planning and synchronization of our retrans, we first have to understand the maneuver plan to include the schema maneuver and task the subordinate units. Then the S6 Enterprise can utilize speed to determine potential command post and retrans locations. Once the retrans teams receive their mission brief, it is critical for the teams to be task organized with clear command relationships. Often the teams will be thrown into a convoy with another battalion at the last minute in order to get into position, which creates the teams to be desynced and retrans teams to pull off the release point sooner than expected. A recommendation, retrans teams need to attend that specific task force's combined arms rehearsal, or at a minimum, use one of the many different rehearsal techniques listed in Appendix C of FM 6-0, everything from network to full dress. Rehearsing these link-ups and handoffs will allow the team chiefs, that corporal or sergeant, to become familiar with the physical actions opposed to the written plan. Ultimately, this will allow the teams to understand their task and purpose, especially if the grid they were provided is impassable, a retrans party exists, or their position is compromised. They can locate an alternate grid on their own, opposed to going back and forth over the Joint Battle Command platform to receive that grid from higher. Additionally, the retrans teams need to have a copy of an X-check in their possession, along with a brigade tactical standard operating procedure to understand the battle drills. This will allow the teams to be more efficient. More often than not, they are reliant on their leadership to give them the answers. It is imperative for retrans teams to establish that pace outside their retrans radios so they can communicate, synchronize, and understand their triggers in a contested environment. The pace will allow the team to receive those graphics, gain a shared understanding, and it will help drive decisions. Execution. Retrans teams must execute fieldcraft, use reverse slope, and set realistic timetables for that establishment of their sites under both day and nighttime operations. As teams are establishing their antennas, it is essential they stick to the TM standard of 15 minutes per 1 OE. Under limited visibility, the team should consider 25 to 30 minutes. Overall, the teams must identify their priorities of works amongst the team of 3 personnel. First order of business is pulling security, while the other 2 personnel are setting up. As teams are maintaining, they need to be executing events in accordance with their battle rhythm, along with battle tracking, so they can understand where we are in time and space. Lastly, conducting rehearsals, for example, how the team will react to contact during the event they take casualties. They need to know where is their nearest Roll 1 or Roll 2, and will they break retrans or wait for a CASEVAC vehicle to arrive. The why of NTC's RETRANS Academy. So typically during RSOI, retrans preparation is an afterthought. The RETRANS Academy, hosted by the Signaleers of Operations Group, provides an opportunity for the rotational training unit to build combat power, rehearse, and execute a final conditions check before receiving their mission brief and rolling out to establish retrans. The final goal of the Academy is to make sure the teams are ready and capable to execute. During this Academy, the team will spend roughly 6 hours verifying equipment, provide lessons learned from previous rotations, coach each team to build a battle rhythm, set forth priorities to tackle the common trends, and lastly discuss the preventative measures to common jamming signals. They are listed in FM 6-02 and are as follows: minimize the radio transmission, keep to 6 seconds or less for transmissions, use frequency hop, train using radio silence, use lower power radio settings, and use terrain masking to reduce detection. But by no means is this enough time to certify the teams, but it fills some of the gaps that may exist, especially when crews are inexperienced prior to arriving to the National Training Center. Thank you for watching. I am Captain Joseph Collar, Train of Force.